It's a conversation I have a lot with people, most recently with a really close friend of mine who owns a business. And I was like, okay, do you want to be a real estate professional or do you want to like view real estate as your safety net and what you are like building on the side? He's like, absolutely building on the side. I don't have time. I was like, then you should not treat this like a hobby and you should not go do deals on your own. You should partner with people like me or someone that you know is doing big deals and just get your guaranteed check every single month and know that your equity is building and just
Yeah.
don't try to go learn real estate because that's how people fall flat on their ass, right? Like that's it, best advice I got. Treat it like a hobby, you'll lose money. Treat it like a business, and you will change your life.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm Cody Crabb, and joining me today is Kyle Stanley of the Fearless Investors. Kyle invests across several strategies with a big emphasis on short-term rentals. And today we're going to be talking about out-of-state investing. We're going to be talking about adapting to a changing market and building a business that actually lasts. Kyle, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, excited to be on, Cody. I appreciate you.
Of course. So just to start out, for people hearing your name for the first time, what's the short version? How did you get into real estate in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, the 5,000 foot overview was a sports anchor right out of college. Did that, found out very quickly that I don't like taking orders from other people, AKA I was an entrepreneur at heart.
I was like, I'm already seeing it start to.
Yeah. So, started and tried to build a few different businesses from the age of 22 all the way to 31. Best I ever did was 75,000 in a year. And so at one point I was just like, man, there's something I haven't figured out here. There's something that I'm just doing wrong. And so I started looking into real estate because that's where I kept seeing, when you use Google and you start asking, how is real wealth built? How do you get financial freedom? Real estate keeps popping up.
How did the richest people in the world get rich?
Yeah, exactly.
That's something we hear a lot on here. Is the origin story is like, I wanted to know how to get rich, and I just looked up what rich people do, and that's what they do. So
exactly. Yeah. Why try to reinvent the wheel? So
yeah,
went to a couple seminars, decided to start flipping houses, and on my second flip, decided to keep it as a short-term rental. And man, the rest was history from there. I ended up finding that I was one of the first. I was kind of the pioneer in my market in Fresno, California, to do short-term rentals, and was able to then build a 50, 60-ish unit management portfolio of Airbnbs and short-term rentals, was able to sell that for a big chunk of change in 2023. And since then I've been dad and new dad, got 2 kids, and now getting back really into heavy acquisitions and starting a new business in a new state. And it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. It's pivoting every single day. That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine so. Well, and I'd love to kind of chat about this out-of-state investing. So a lot of people live in these markets where, I mean, I'm one of them. I live in Salt Lake City, which is surprisingly one of the more expensive markets right now. But the thing that we hear a lot is like, oh, well, we're talking to people in like rural Georgia, and they're like, I bought a house for like a nickel, So I all these people are thinking, how do I do this out of state? Like I want to go out of state and do something. So I'd love to hear kind of what exactly are you doing out of state? Where are you doing it? And how could someone else maybe make it work for them?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Yeah, I mean, it happened really organically. So that's the first thing is like a lot of people that I've talked to are like, how do you decide which market to get into out of state? And I was like, well, it just happened so organically for me. My business partner had long-term rentals in Indiana, a little town over there. And he was like, hey, I got this one that could be a sick Airbnb, but I don't know anything about Airbnb and you do. Do you want to take this down together? And I looked at the deal and I was like, yeah, this would be fun. So he already had realtors. He already had some cleaners. He already had a few different resources already. And then I just was able to kind of plug and play where my knowledge was at, which was how to make this the sickest short-term rental possible. And we did. We killed it. We put $250,000 into that deal. That was a deal of a lifetime.
Wow.
Bought it for $185, put $250 into it, and refied at $734. So, I mean, do the numbers. We were able to put a nice chunk of change in our pocket as well as paying for the furniture, which is just wild. And then this last year did $130K on Airbnb and VRBO plus direct bookings. And, we've got now 3 short-term rentals over there. We're in the middle of our second flip. We've got a student rental over there. And we're also exploring some student housing, or not student housing, sober living / homeless, the transitional housing market. That's something new for us too. But yeah, it happened very organically. And like, that's what I would say if someone's looking to go out of state is, yeah, you can have like the market with the most profit and then build a team around that. Or if you already know, like, hey, I know someone in the market, or I know other people in that market that would be resources to me. It's always easier to like do the numbers and find the profit after you find the people, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, kind of maybe the networking part is just how you do that. And then if someone's out of state, you just talk to them and how's the market you live in? And yeah, there's definitely some opportunity there. So another thing that you just said that was really interesting to me is it seems like you're consistently not doing the same thing. Like it seems like you said I pivot every day.
Yeah.
That's your thing. So I'm curious, like what drives that, and what's the thinking behind that? And is there ever going to be a time where you don't do that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, 5 years ago, right, I could put a TP up on Airbnb and be a king, right? Like it was just so easy to make money. And now it's just not that way. Deals are thinner, interest rates are higher, competition is higher. And what I mean by competition, that could be on short-term rentals on Airbnb, and it could also be just buyers in the area. So, I'm just always looking for like, what's something that someone isn't doing that we can do and be a pioneer again, right? Like that was the kind of key to the success that I found in 2020 was I was one of the first to do short-term rentals in Fresno, California. I remember there was like 90 short-term rentals, and now today, if you open it up, there's like 700, right? And so when you're a pioneer, when you're in the beginning there, like it's true what they say, like, get in on the bottom floor. And so there's still amazing short-term rental deals, right? Like I was talking to a friend the other day who's like dealing with a lot of stresses of short-term rentals and bad reviews and not as great of profits. And we got to talking about the properties, and they're just really basic properties. And I'm like, well, mine has an Irish pub in the downstairs. It has a poker room. It has a massive TV, like theater style type of setup. It has 4,800 square feet. And that's why it did $130,000 last year on Airbnb. I had another that I tried down the street that's 1,300 square feet, and it it died on Airbnb. And so that's the one I turned into a student rental, right? So like, that's when I talk about with pivoting is like, okay, we thought this would be a good short-term rental, but we bought it. And that one we actually bought creatively. So the mortgage on it, even though we bought it $355, we did seller finance and the mortgage is only $1,100. So we were like, okay, we can do a long-term rental on this, or we can just post it on Zillow at a crazy high price and see if some students end up inquiring, and they did. And so now we rent it for $2,900 a month, where the market rent was like $1,700, right? So those are just, when I talk about pivoting, I'm just like, I always say nothing's never for sale. All my properties, if you look, they're all posted for sale at like a crazy high price on Zillow, and I'll get calls from agents all day long and being like, do you want to list with us? I'm like, no, I just want you to bring me a buyer at this price, and then I might sell it. Because I'm always looking for like, how can I either like find the next thing that's going to make me a pioneer, or how can I just sell this property at a crazy high price that I didn't even think that I could get, and then 1031 it into something that's going to be a little bit more like low key for me. The ultimate goal, right, with anyone in real estate is to not be the operator. And for me, I'm still in the operation stage of like, if I can build up something that eventually leads to me owning a 100-unit apartment complex and having a manager take over the whole thing, that's where I'm trying to eventually go to.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like you've got a really clear vision of what you want to kind of the future, where you want to go with it.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that you kind of just use the data. So you're like, let's try a thing, and if it works, we keep doing it. If it doesn't, we don't, and we try something else until it does. Like, it seems very simple, but I'm sure there's a lot of calculation and research and all kinds of things that go into that too.
Yeah, the biggest thing on that calculation is, do I have 3 exit strategies on this property, right? Everyone got into massive trouble, especially those that bought properties in Florida and Phoenix and the Smokies in Tennessee in 2020 and 2021, because they were like, wow, I'm going to go buy this $1 million property. I'm going to have someone manage it for me as a short-term rental. I'm going to write off all these taxes, and then I'm going to cash flow $1,000 a month. And then suddenly it got saturated, and they were like, yeah, I saved taxes year one on my purchase, but now I'm losing $1,000 a month. And then because so many properties happened to go through that, then everyone listed their properties all at once. Supply and demand, they're not making their money back. So they're stuck with this property that they're just eating these mortgages every single month. I don't do deals like that. Like, if the only option is short-term rental, I'm not going to touch it. So it needs to be able to have an opportunity to flip it. It needs to be able to be a long-term rental. It needs to be able to be a mid-term rental. Maybe it's student rental, right? Like, I've got to have at least 3 of those things to know that if A doesn't work, then at least I have B and C to try as well.
That's smart. Yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. Like, it's not just about the spreadsheet that says ding ding the numbers add up, but also like, theoretically, if the market shifts, you have nothing to do with that. Can you pivot and change what you're doing? So when you evaluate a deal now, what are the exit strategies you want to see? Like, what are some of the options that you typically look for?
Yeah, I mean, number one is Airbnb. If it's not going to cash flow at least $2,000 a month as a short-term rental, then it's really just not worth the headache of managing that short-term rental. Then number 2 is, if it's not, then can it make me at least $50,000 on a flip? And if that's going to work, great. And I mean, we got one right now that we're supposed to make $80,000 on the flip as soon as it's all done. But if it sits, I know it'll do great as a short-term rental, or it'll also do great as a student rental, because we can rent out room by room, $900 a pop. It's a 5-bedroom We could rent it out for $4,500, and the mortgage on that is going to be $3,700. So there's my three options right there on that property in case any of those fall through. But that's kind of like 2,000 on a short-term rental, 50K on a flip, and then like right around $1,000 of cash flow as a like midterm slash I call it like executive rental, and then at the very least as a long-term rental, it just needs to be able to break even.
Yeah, that's I love hearing concrete numbers like that, because it's very easy to kind of hear abstract, don't do too much, too little, but like hearing literal numbers is like, that's refreshing. Like it's helpful.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. So, okay, pulling back a little bit, you mentioned you were able to take some time off recently.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And I'm just curious, like, how has having kids changed the way you think about business this time around?
Man, it's made me more risk averse, if I'm being honest. So I sold my management business, and I also had an education business. Sold those both for a small 7-figure number in 2023, which was fantastic. And kind of kicked my feet up for the last 2 years. Still bought some properties, but knew that at some point I was going to need to get back to work.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And there's two things that I've noticed in getting back into real estate right now. Brandon Turner talked about it the other day on a podcast, and he was like, hey, in 2012, 2015, like real estate as a rental business was an actual business. Like you could rely on $2,000 of cash flow per property. It's like today, if you're trying to build a rental portfolio, it's more of an investment strategy. Like your money's going to grow, but you're not going to leave your job from a rental portfolio today with interest rates the way that they are, with inflation, plus like the rental rates just have not kept up with the inflation.
Like best case scenario, they're paying your mortgage, but that's it.
Yeah. And I totally agree with that. Even these ones that I have that, cash flow $2,000, $3,000 a month. I mean, we just had massive rain in Indiana, and we had to replace like one of the basement floors, which was $2,000. There goes our cash flow for that month, right? Like that stuff just happens a lot these days. So, I've started to realize pivoting, right? Like I have to have an active real estate business. We have to be doing more flips, or we have to find better leases that are going to take the management off of our shoulders. And what I mean by that is like the executive leases I was talking about, student rentals, that one does cash flow $1,500 a month, and I don't have any issues, and I don't have to do any turnover, and that's been fantastic. Like I just have to do a lot of pivoting to decide how is that active real estate portfolio going to actually become a business. And when you talk about adding kids into the mix, man, like now, we got a property under contract that we're trying to wholesale, and we got it under contract at $700,000. And that's the biggest deal I've ever gotten under contract in terms of a number. And I'm like, I don't want to close on this deal. I need to wholesale this because I don't want to have $700,000 plus $200,000 of rehab looming over me for 6 months, and then wondering if it's going to sell at 1.1 or 1.2. Like that just terrifies me as a dad now. Whereas like as single guy, I would have been like, whatever. My monthly costs are like close to nothing, but now as a family and, living in a nice house and having kids and sending them to the best schools and everything, it's like you start to like, hey, your kids start to make you really like, oh my gosh, am I ready to risk it all just for this deal, right? And
that Disney Plus isn't going to pay for itself.
Yeah, exactly. Nailed
it. I always say like I'm willing to eat ramen for a month. That's fine, but I'm not making my kids do that. I'm not making my wife do that. So like it's very much like it feels like my risk but I don't want them to have to pay the price for it. So that's
Well said.
I
Yeah.
often hear that is people become way more conservative, or at the very least like cautious when
Mhm.
they're doing deals and things once they have a family.
Yep.
So for you, another thing you mentioned, we're winding down here toward the end of our show, but I just something else I wanted to ask you about is you said your long-term goal is not to be the operator. What does that future look like for you? Is it like you just kind of manage things from the sidelines? Do you completely kick back and never think about real estate ever again? I'd be curious to know what you'd love to do.
Yeah, that's a great question because at the end of the day, entrepreneurs, there's no such thing as like, with what I say is, there's no such thing as me going to the beach and just laying out to get a tan. Like, I have to be doing something.
I
I
don't
need to
even know
like,
how to do that. Like
yeah,
relaxing is a hard
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
like, get me a football, get me a game out on the beach. Like, I got to do something. I'm not going to just sit down and read a book. And that's the same way with business, right? Like, what I found when I sold my businesses in 2023 and quote unquote kicked up my feet for the last 2 years, I really didn't. Like, I was still extremely busy because
Yeah.
right here you can see I got a Cubs logo right there.
Uh-huh.
I'm a massive Cubs fan. I just decided to start a Cubs podcast and I grew that and I was like, this isn't.
That is the classic like entrepreneur
Yeah.
mindset. You're like, I'm just not going to work except for I'm going to grow a big podcast about it.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah.
And that led to us, doing a bunch of travel, going to games, meeting really cool people, and I loved it. But I'm like, all right, that's not making me money, so now I got to transfer that effort to something that is making me money. But yeah, so I mean, even at the end of the day, if I was, let's just assume cash flowing, right? Like I got 50K coming in every single month. I got $1 million in the bank, and I got $10 million in assets that I could sell at any point. Like that's great, but I still need to like have something that I'm working towards or progressing in or some sort of
Yeah.
passion project. And so,
So you don't really see yourself slowing down completely. You just want
yeah,
to change your
yeah,
focus maybe a little bit.
exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, okay, let's say somebody wants to build toward that kind of future where they're like, because I think a lot of people that are listening to this people that are adjacent to real estate and real estate investors and things get kind of itchy and kind of antsy, and they don't want to, just like you said, they want to be doing something. So, a lot of people, what you just described is like the ideal life for the rest of their lives, like retirement and things. So what would you recommend to people that want to build toward that? Like, what should they be paying attention to now?
It's a conversation I have a lot with people, most recently with a really close friend of mine who owns a business. And I was like, okay, do you want to be a real estate professional or do you want to like view real estate as your safety net and what you are like building on the side? He's like, absolutely building on the side. I don't have time. I was like, then you should not treat this like a hobby and you should not go do deals on your own. You should partner with people like me or someone that is doing big deals and just get your guaranteed check every single month and know that your equity is building and just
Yeah,
don't try to go learn real estate because that's how people fall flat on their ass, right? Like that's it, best advice I got. Treat it like a hobby, you'll lose money. Treat it like a business, and you will change your life. Um,
that's a good quote.
so yeah, so I mean, getting really clear with what your goal is first. If you want it to be passive, invest with people like me. Invest with the operators. But if you're like, hey, I hate my job and I need to do this, or else I'm going to completely lose my mind, just like where I was when I was 31 years old, then yeah, I mean, you should not do it on your own. You should get a mentor. You should watch tons of YouTube videos. However you do it, whether you want to like pay the $30,000 like I did and just get straight to the answer and do your first deal in your first 6 weeks, which is what I did, or do the long game and go down the YouTube university and learn as much as possible. And a year later, you're doing your first deal. No matter what it is, just don't do it on your own. Because then, once again, you can fall flat on your ass.
Yeah, you have to make
So
mistakes yourself instead of someone else
exactly,
going, "Oh, no, I tried that my first year. That'll never work."
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So let's say, just one last question here. Let's say somebody does want to partner with somebody. What would you say a good way to find somebody like that would be?
Listening to podcasts like these, most of the time, guys like myself are coming on your show or coming on real estate podcasts. They're doing the deals. DM them on Instagram and say, what do your deals look like? What would I make as a return? And typically, the people like me who are having those conversations are going to say, hey, this isn't actually a good fit for you, but my buddy who's doing multifamily, right, I can connect you with him. So
Yeah.
networking, right? Just
Yeah.
don't be afraid to
It
DM
all
people
comes
like
back
me
to
on,
networking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to podcasts. Don't be afraid to DM people on Instagram, the ones that you jive with, the ones that are doing the deals that you feel like you want to. And you might not know what those deals look like in the beginning because you're just like brand new, but just have conversations with them.
Awesome. Well, this has been a really great episode, Kyle. If someone wants to find you online, how can they do that?
Yeah, best way is just my Instagram, like I was talking about, at Fearless Kyle. It's actually, if you're watching, I guess on YouTube, right
Yeah, it's
there.
true. Yeah, it's on there.
Yep. At Fearless Kyle, and I'm always having fun posting content every day,
Every day. Wow, that's pretty impressive.
just about Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that's a lot though. That's a lot. Well, Kyle, thanks again for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. And listeners, thank you for joining us as well. If you got something out of today's episode, and I know you did, go ahead and hit a like, hit a subscribe, leave us a comment, do all the things, and make sure you don't miss another episode. And Kyle, thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Cody.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.